Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another Legally Armed America video. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow here, the one and only truth pimp, dealing you a vulgar display of logic and reason on a daily basis. Today, I'm pleased to bring you a special guest, John Cullen. He has been instrumental. In the past, he worked on a lot of investigation into the Butler assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life. And more recently, he's been doing a lot of digging into the Charlie Kirk assassination. I watch a lot of videos. I look a lot of content trying to figure out what happened with this Charlie Kirk assassination. And I think a lot of you feel the same way I do. John has a completely different theory that he has investigated, and he's got some pretty compelling evidence. This interview is going to be a two-piece interview because it's a long interview, but it's worth it. Today we're going to introduce you pretty much to John Cullen's theory and where his train of thought is aimed at. I don't think you've heard probably his theory all compiled and put in one place, because not a lot of people are giving him a voice, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to listen to anybody who might be connecting dots that somebody doesn't seem to want us to connect. Okay, guys, I got John Cullen here, and John's videos on X, I've watched several of his videos and some angles of some things that he's put out, and I'd suggest you guys go follow him too. I'll put his handle on screen for you guys to go take a look. But some interesting characteristics that he's recognized, and actually he'll go more into this with a friend of his also that he has worked with on some different video type things. But the G6500 Hades spy plane and the potential of drones and that type of technology is what we're going to be talking about today. John, welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
John, I'm going to give some high-level things that I think are necessary for us to enter into this discussion. So if you'll bear with me for a minute, I'd like to read off a couple of these things. We are going to be talking again about the G6500 Hades spy plane. This spy plane, and I call it spy plane, let's just call it the Hades. The plane departed El Paso, Texas for Kalispell, Montana on September 10th. That's the morning Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It descended over Utah Lake adjacent to UVU, where Charlie Kirk was shot, reaching 600 feet above ground level and slowing to 150 knots 3 hours before Kirk's shooting. The same plane returned from Kalispell to El Paso later that day. It repeated the low altitude maneuver near UVU, dropping to 204 feet near stall speed 24 minutes after the shooting. John, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell me your thoughts on what you're seeing.
It's very disturbing. The U.S. government has had a program that they call the Hades program. And they're using these Bombardier G6500 jets. It's a high-end jet. This is a big business jet, like the big Gulfstream jets, right? This is a big business jet. And they've got two of them, and we read stories. In other words, you can read all about it. You guys can, type in Hades G6500 business jet and U.S. Army into your favorite search engine. You'll find, there's at least half a dozen stories about it. So it's not like it's some top secret program that we're not supposed to know about. They've been publishing about it, right? It's in the public domain. So we read about this Hades program and these Bombardier G6500 business jets that they're setting up to do, whatever spooks do when they're up in a plane. I'm busy eating peanuts. I don't know what the hell these guys do. So they got a spook plane, and they're configuring it to do spooky stuff. So then in January, we start reading these articles about how, well, really what they want to do is launch drones from these things. I say, okay, you want to launch drones from these Bombardier G6500s. Okay. Knock yourselves out. That was back in January. So they expressed this desire to have that as part of the program. Well, the problem is that the day that Charlie Kirk is shot, one of these Hades aircraft departs from El Paso, Texas, heading to Kalispell, Montana. And Provo, Utah is not on the flight plan. But the aircraft descends from 41,000 feet, not to 600, I was mistaken, to 203 feet above Lake Utah. 203 feet above ground level. at Lake Utah, radios the tower, calls into the tower and says, hey, we're going to do a little missed approach here. Basically, it's like a flyby. But that wasn't on the flight plan. What the hell? Why did you guys descend from 41,000 feet to 200 feet adjacent to Utah Valley University, of all places, on that day? 3 hours before Charlie Kirk is shot? All right. So maybe that's just a coincidence. So they do this 3 hours prior. They fly right by UVU, by the way. Like
John,
within 2 months.
Let me interrupt you real quick there, because I want to make sure that I don't forget this question. Do you know if there was any record of, you mentioned that missed flyby, was there any record of training of a new pilot that day regarding this flight that you know of?
No.
Okay.
No. And the pilot sounds pretty confident. Sounds like this isn't his first rodeo.
Gotcha.
You fly this thing all day, every day. I mean, this thing is it's probably up in the air right now. I haven't checked. I'm sure it is. It's probably right over my house. But they fly all over the country, man. They're in Indiana. They go out to like Crater Lake and stuff. They go up to Seattle. They go to El Paso. They go to Tucson. They go all over the place. So, the issue is we see this thing in the morning. It's at 200 feet. The problem is it comes back 24 minutes after Charlie is shot and does the same thing. It descends from 41,000 feet to 204 feet above ground level. Slows down to stall speed again, like 113 knots. The plane's falling at 110 knots, and they're at 113 knots and 200 feet above Lake Utah for the second time that day in the same spot from 41,000 feet. This is on the way from Kalispell, Montana, back to El Paso. So it's this Hades plane. It is the Bombardier G6500 spy plane that they said they want to be able to launch drones from. So if that's all the evidence that we had, was that spy plane was at the scene of the Charlie Kirk murder twice that day, once 3 hours prior, and again 24 minutes after, at an altitude of 204 feet above ground level and a speed of 113, 115 knots, that would be pretty disturbing. I mean, it might be a coincidence, twice in the same day at the same place as he was killed, and nobody really talked about it. Secretary Duffy talked about a different aircraft, an 888 something or other that left from Provo, but it was a private plane owned by some cosmetics company. Unrelated to this. So when you've got a Hades spy plane at 200 feet above ground level and 113 knots adjacent to a murder scene, might it be complicit?
Have you checked to see if there's any other, like, I know you've done a lot of research on these spy planes, these Hades. Have you found any other maneuvers at 200 feet
yes.
in the past?
Yeah. Yes, and they seem to always do it by a lake. They're always doing this near water, but they haven't done it at Lake Utah since the shooting. In other words, I'm tracking them, and they do fly over Salt Lake City frequently, and they haven't done it again.
So
but we have seen.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, we have seen them do it in other places. So at other lakes, like in Oregon or Seattle, or I forget exactly where they were, like Nevada, they do this maneuver. They come down, they do the loop-de-loop thing, and then they go up. So have they been practicing releasing drones as they said they wanted to do? Maybe. Again, this is all new news, right? This is all new, and nobody's helping to research this, right? So it's not like, and the guys at CNN are all over it. No. It's not like Candace Owen is using all of her influential contacts to find out more about why was a U.S. Army spy jet at 200 feet in stall speed adjacent to the murder scene twice that day. She doesn't seem to think this is anything worth talking about, which I find extremely odd. But what makes it worse is that Jason Goodman from Crowdsource the Truth, the guy that, he and I have been doing podcasts together for 5 years. We started doing podcasts, I think, in 2019. And Christmas of last year, after we pretty much put a bow and a cherry on top of the Butler assassination attempt, Jason is the 3D cinematographer from 3D Spider-Man. He's an NYU Film School graduate, Hollywood movie making guy, cinematography guy. And he's an expert at 3D. So he built 3D cameras. He did the 3D Spider-Man movie. And so he's probably the top forensic video analyst in the country today. Right? So he's worked with me on the Las Vegas shooting evidence where we see helicopters in the sky. He's worked with me on the Butler stuff. And again, we don't always agree on the findings, right? So he may find something and I think it's this and he thinks it's that. That's okay. Right? We're trying to figure it out. And so he'll go explore, could it be this? And I'll go explore, could it be that? Now, I'll run off and do my research. He runs off and does his research. But from a forensic video analysis perspective, there's probably no one better. So he looks at this footage that this guy Adam Bartholomew shot. And Adam Bartholomew was standing on that walkway above Charlie and off to the side. And Jason reaches out to the guy, gets him to come on his podcast, and shows the guy his own footage and says, did you see this? And you can see the guy is like, he turns white as a ghost. He's like, he didn't know what this is like a Zapruder moment. He didn't know what he filmed. And Jason showing him frame by frame by frame what appear to be high-speed military UAVs flying all over the venue. Left to right, right to left. There's one's up high. There's one's down low. I think he's got 4 of them that he's identified just on that one video clip. And I think we may see one of the ones he identified in someone else's footage also. Well, if there's military UAVs flying around 100 miles an hour, by the way, nobody notices them. All right. And you can tell how fast they're going because they only appear on the screen for like 2 frames or 4 frames. And 4 frames is 4/30ths of a second. So these things are, and it covered 200 yards, right? Because that's basically, the width of the field that we're looking at. In a fraction of a second, these things are flying.
What altitude, when you guys are looking at that video, what altitude do you assume or think that it may be flying at?
Kind of the same altitude as the balcony from the food court at UVU. There's people standing across on the balcony at the food court, kind of at the height.
And I asked that because, one of the points of contention is also that camera behind Charlie under the tent was removed so quickly. Do you think the tent may have blocked that, or do you think that the potential drone may have still been low enough for that camera to actually catch it?
Let's see. The camera behind Charlie would that have caught the drone? I think it would have been blocked by the shade tent.
Got you.
From its perspective. I think that wherever the shot was taken that hit Charlie, like barely, you're barely able to see Charlie because of the shade tent. There's not much of a window to the target. Can't go too high or you can't see the target. So it had to be, maybe 25, 30 feet off the ground. It's above people's heads. No one sees it. And they're flying. I mean, they go so fast, nobody really realizes what's going on. And so it's the two things together. It's the fact that Jason's isolated them, identified them. And by the way, he also cataloged insects and birds in the same footage as a baseline. So people will look at this and say, oh, that's a bird. It's like, no. This is a bird. Let's look at the egret. We see an egret flying, or it's either a heron or an egret. And we see it flying, go land in a tree. All right. And we see 2 wasps, one slightly out of focus, one clearly in focus. So now we know what the wasps look like on camera. Now we know what egrets look like on camera. And Jason goes through and identifies like 16 different birds so that we have that baseline of this is what organic things look like on the footage. This is what bees, wasps look like. This is a bee. This is a bird. We see the wings flap. We see the body move up and down. You see the pumping of it. And then you see these things that just go horizontally. And it's like, well, that's not a bird. Like we just watched the bird, right? We were watching birds.
And so those same things don't fly at an equivalent speed of 4 frames per four. I mean, they're not flying at that speed either.
And they maintain this horizontal attitude as they go up.
Yeah.
And so again, it's like when you break it down and you take the time, you go frame by frame by frame, and you look at what Jason's found. It's stunning. Again, I called him up. I said, dude, you've got to come on the show. You got to show people. This is crazy. How is this not the elephant in the room? Everybody's talking about microphones, and this guy tugged on his shirt, and this guy did this, and this guy did that, and this guy did this. And I'm looking at military drones flying around 100 miles an hour and going, I think you guys are focusing on the wrong stuff.
So just to make the connection, and I want to make sure that we stay on track here, the correlation between the Hades jet and potentially these drones would be that as it descended over the lake and got at potentially a stall speed of 200 feet also above the lake, it could have launched those drones, and the trip back could have been collecting those drones. Is that what the theory is?
Apparently. I mean, that's what, again, if you were to ask a 7-8-year-old boy and show him this stuff and ask him, what do you think happened here? What would the kid say? He would say, well, they already said they want to be able to release drones, right? And it's that plane, right? So why would we not think it's that plane at 200 feet and 115 knots releasing drones and picking them up 24 minutes later? What evidence? That's not what's happened, right? It's like they've already indicated that's what they want to be able to do. And we see the drones, right? If we didn't see the drones, we would say, what were they doing?
Right.
Did they release drones? Did they not release drones? We're going to have to figure. But we see them flying all over the place. And these are not DJI drones. It's not the Utah Valley University Drone Club, where the drone club would have come forward and said, hey, we got footage. I mean, we were flying 100 miles an hour, but we got footage. We haven't heard from the drone club.
So
nobody seems to talk about the spy, right?
So if the Hades airplane slowed to 115 knots, do we know the speed that these drones typically fly at?
No, because I think these are classified. This is probably DARPA level stuff, and they're not publishing the videos on YouTube of what these units are doing.
Do we have a drone name of that? Like, do we know what type of drone technology they're using? Potentially?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, we see the units. You can see them.
Right.
But can I say, well, that's an Anduril Barracuda 10? No, I can't. We don't know yet.
Was it one of your videos that you put, I guess, a picture of a potential drone that we're aware of, and then one from the actual Charlie Kirk video? Was it you that did that? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, to me, they had some very stark similarities. It looked like it could very easily have been the same drone.
And that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for familial similarities, right? Does it look like it's from the same manufacturer? Does it look like it's from the same group that made that other unit, right? Does it look similar to it? Again, we're trying to track down what is this? And we're not getting help from the people who know the answer. The people who know the answer are trying to cover this up. So if we've got to figure this out, it's like figuring out what does the dealer have in their hand when you're playing blackjack and their cards are down. Well, how are you supposed to figure out what's in the dealer's hand? The cards are upside down. You can't see them. And we're trying to figure out, what are these guys up to? What are they doing? They're not going to play. They don't want to play along. They're not turning their cards over for us. We got to figure it out.
So that program that we're talking about, that Hades program, we know that this G6500 is one of those, correct?
Oh, not only that, we've got photographs of the interior, and it's for sale already.
Right. Oh, wow.
All right, so we can buy it if you guys want to do a GoFundMe. If we raise 50 million bucks, it's ours.
So I think we can agree that if there's any kind of connection that we're dealing with a government connection. Are you thinking CIA, NSA, something like that? I mean, give me your thoughts on that. I'm trying to track with you on this.
Yeah, all right, so I got to be a little careful what I say here. So after Butler, Corey Mills and Eli Crane testified to Congress that the evidence that I've compiled appears to indicate there's a second shooter in the trees that was shooting at the Secret Service guys. And they testified that they were taking fire and that they believe it was suppressed. And I said it was suppressed like within a week of the shooting. I said there's suppressed fire coming from over there. Nobody joined me in the chorus. Nobody said, hey, Cullen's right. There's suppressed fire coming from over there. I was out on a limb. And I was saying it was coming from the trees, assuming that there was some sort of sniper up in the trees in a ghillie suit with a suppressed 300 blackout subsonic. That's what I have. That's what I use. They testify to Congress. The head of the DNI, the Office of DNI, is Tulsi Gabbard. And that means that she has responsibility for all 17 of the intelligence agencies, including CIA and the NSA. She used to be a congressperson. And she knows Corey Mills and Eli Crane. And so they went to Tulsi and shared the evidence with her.
This evidence, or you're talking about Butler?
Butler. She had people on her team reach out to me. All right, so I was contacted by the office, the DNI office people, not Tulsi, but people that work for Tulsi. And that led to me being introduced to the Office of Inspector General under Kristi Noem, because Kristi Noem has responsibility for Secret Service. So Secret Service is part of Homeland Security now. And as such, Kristi Noem's investigation into Butler is being handled by her Inspector General for Homeland Security. That is former Air Force General Joe Kafari. And Joe Kafari reached out to me directly. He is the head of the Office of Inspector General for Homeland Security.
Okay.
He assigned an investigator to work with me on Butler. And we are working together, and we've been in contact. We've done Zoom calls and all that. So I'm working with Homeland Security, Office of Inspector General, sharing the ballistic evidence that we've accumulated from Butler. Then, when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, one of the people that I've interacted with along the way here regarding Butler reached out to me about Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
And said, what do you got? And I said, I thought you were going to tell me to back off. I thought, so in other words, I got an email saying, can we catch up on Butler, on Charlie Kirk? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm figuring I'm going to get yelled at. I thought they were going to say, dude, you're talking about spy plane? Yeah. You're going to get yourself killed. This is over your pay grade. If you know what's good for you, you might want to back off this one. But that wasn't the conversation. And that's what I thought it was going to be. I fully expected them to ask me to stand down. No. They said, they were like, what do you think? What do you got? I said, I think Kash Patel is lying and had nothing 30 hours into this thing. And they said, all right, we're going to need I need a cover story. I need a narrative. Somebody call the basement to Quantico. Get those guys a case of Doritos and some Jolt Cola, and let's get a cover story narrative. And so this is a private conversation I'm having. And we start talking about it, and about how there's no evidence of the guy on the roof with a gun. We see a guy on the roof dressed in all black running. Do I know that's not the Grubhub guy that just got scared? He heard some gunshots, was on the wrong place at the wrong time, and he ran across the roof. Because I sure as hell don't see a hunting rifle in his hands. I don't see a hunting rifle. I don't see a hunting rifle in the stairwell. I see a kid with a backpack. I don't see a hunting rifle. I don't see a Mauser 98 with no serial numbers, huh? Huh. So there's no record of the sale of it. There's no transaction records. None of that.
So what's the theory on the guy running across the roof then if we're going with the drone theory and the spy plane?
What happens if there's nobody running across the roof? What do we have? We got a dead Charlie Kirk. And where's our shooter? If we don't have a guy in black running across the roof, what do we got? And what are people going to start doing? Scouring footage. Do we want people scouring footage? No, we do not want people scouring footage. That's what John Cullen did in Vegas, and he found helicopters shooting people. We don't want people scouring footage. We're going to need a runner. We're going to need a decoy. Otherwise, there's no gunman. Where the hell's the gunman? People think he was shot from behind. Well, where's the gunman? There's no gunman? So that presents a problem if you're the guys in the spy plane with the UAVs and you got this fantastical way of killing people. But everybody's going to go, well, where the hell did that come from? It's like Star Trek. It's like going back in time to the 1800s and showing up, and everybody's going to be like, wait, whoa. What'd you guys just teleport here? How'd that happen? So how did Charlie Kirk stop without a guy running across the roof?
Okay, so if I'm tracking you right, because again, I want to make sure the audience understands the direction we're heading in. Hades, launching of drones, decoy guy running across. And I will say this, there have been reports of people, or at least theories of people stating that the rifle never was placed in the woods after the shooting, that it was always there. If I'm tracking you right, then the Hades, launch of the drone, the decoy guy running across, which could be Robinson again, who knows at this point. And that's our decoy to throw us off that we did have a rifle in the bushes over there. We found it. We have this shooter's rifle, right? Am I tracking you right?
Somewhat, but I'm not buying that they found the shooter's rifle because they haven't shown us the body cam footage of the cops coming upon the towel. All right. So all they need to do to resolve it is show us the body. So in other words, when they found the weapon, they were looking for the shooter. They weren't looking for a gun in the woods. They were looking for the shooter. There was a live, active shooting and a shooter on the loose. So if you're walking around the woods looking for a shooter, you have your body cam on because you're about to engage. So where is the body cam footage of the guy going, hey, Tommy, Mikey, come over here. Check out this SpongeBob SquarePants towel. Why is there a SpongeBob SquarePants towel in the middle of the woods, guys? This looks a little odd, huh? Who wants to peel the towel back and see what's under the towel? Mikey, you want to do it? Tommy, what are you doing, huh? Where's all that footage? We don't have that footage because the rifle is a manifestation. It's nonsense. There is no Mauser 98 with no serial number. It's a red herring. I'm used to this stuff with these guys already, from COVID and all this other nonsense. There's no Mauser 98. I mean, one of the guys might have a Mauser 98. One of the cops in his basement. But until we see footage from the body cam of them coming upon the rifle in the woods, 30 seconds prior, we're walking through the woods. There's a lot of woods. Wow, SpongeBob SquarePants towel. What's that? Have we seen the towel? No, we haven't seen the towel. Is the towel not evidence? If it was wrapped in the towel, was there DNA on the towel? Where's the towel? There is no Mauser 98. That's a red herring. I'm not convinced Tyler Robinson is real, given what we just learned. How the hell do you produce a Tyler? I got a Hades jet and UAVs without Tyler Robinson, who's in love with a transsexual fairy. What does he have to do with any of this? I haven't seen him perp walked into the courthouse. Have you? I propose Tyler Robinson is a figment of the FBI's imagination. I propose that they created Tyler Robinson. Now, he may have been a real person at one point, but he may have also been killed in a bicycle accident that night, the night before Charlie Kirk died. Was there a real Tyler Robinson? Was Tyler Robinson tragically killed in a car accident on September 9th at midnight, and his body was in the morgue?
So that, my friends, is a working theory I had not heard of. Pretty compelling. Tomorrow's video, part 2, we name names. You do not want to miss that. If you like the video, guys, go follow John and share this video, like this video, comment down below what your thoughts are. And again, you got to see tomorrow's video. Don't forget, guys, if you're looking for a book to educate yourself and to educate the idiots out there who can't think for themselves regarding mass shootings, go to damnliars.net. Again, damnliars.net, and get my brand new book, Damn Liars.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.